It started as a drunken curiosity. My roommate and I had been coming back from a party when we spotted something unusual on the side of the road. Words scratched into the dirt. At first, it was just a fleeting sight, something we barely noticed. But by the next day, that curiosity turned into something far more sinister. Spring break had given us a break from classes, and like most college students, we took full advantage. The night before, my roommate Eric, 21M, and I, 22M, had gone to a party, drinking just enough to make the world light, stupid. Our friend Max was the designated driver, making sure we got home safely. We were laughing about something ridiculous, probably an inside joke that only made sense when you were tipsy, when Eric nudged me. "Did you see that?" I barely caught it. A faint scrawling in the dirt on the side of the road. Letters. Maybe words. But we sped past too fast to make them out. "Probably some dumb graffiti," I shrugged. "Yeah," Eric agreed, but he kept glancing back as if something about it unsettled him. When we got home, we were too drunk to care. We joked about it for a few minutes, but then exhaustion won over and we passed out. The next morning, though, curiosity gnawed at us. "Should we go check it out?" Eric asked over a late breakfast. It wasn't far, a half-mile walk at most. Just a short stretch down the empty road leading to our apartment complex. "Let's do it," I said. At around 3:30 p.m., we set off. The day was bright, but something about the air felt off. It wasn't cold, but I had goosebumps. As we walked, we started noticing more markings. At first, they seemed random. Lines drawn in the dirt, some overlapping, some forming odd, jagged shapes. But the further we went, the more they started to take form. Then we saw the words. I stopped walking. Eric exhaled sharply. "Okay, that's creepy." A little further down. "They are coming." "What the hell?" I muttered. At first, we assumed it was some sort of prank, maybe some local kids messing around, but something about the way the letters were scratched into the dirt, deep, desperate, felt different. It wasn't casual vandalism. It felt like someone had been trying to warn us. Then we found something even stranger. A busted license plate, bent and rusted, was stabbed through a walking stick like some kind of warning sign. The stick was jammed into the dirt at an odd angle, as if whoever placed it there had done so in a hurry. The license plate was old, faded letters, the numbers barely visible beneath the dirt. "Dude," Eric whispered, staring at it. "This is messed up." I pulled out my phone to snap a picture, but before I could, Eric grabbed my arm. "Did you hear that?" I held my breath. Silence. Then, a rustling sound coming from the trees lining the road. I turned sharply, scanning the edge of the woods. Nothing. Then, just as I was about to relax, a whisper, not words, just the sound of something whispering. Eric and I looked at each other, eyes wide. "We should go," I said. We turned back the way we came, walking fast. Then the whispers grew louder. At first, they seemed to come from behind us, then from the side, then from everywhere. It wasn't wind. It wasn't leaves. It was voices. Low, hushed voices murmuring in a language I didn't recognize. That was when I saw them. Shadows, not people, shadows, moving between the trees. "Run," Eric hissed. We bolted. The whispers turned into a chorus of voices. Then, footsteps, not ours. Something was running behind us. Many somethings. I chanced a glance over my shoulder. My stomach dropped. The shadows had spilled onto the road, tall, thin figures, featureless but watching. They didn't walk. They glided. I ran faster than I ever had in my life. My lungs burned, my legs felt like they were going to give out. But we had to get back home. Our apartment was in sight, just a few more yards. Then, Eric tripped. I skidded to a stop, grabbing his arm and pulling him up. The shadows were right there. I slammed the apartment door shut behind us and locked it. The whispers stopped. Silence. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing. Then a single knock. Soft. Deliberate. Then another. Then another. Knock. Knock, knock. Eric grabbed my arm. "Don't open it." I didn't. We didn't sleep that night. The next day, everything was normal. The road, the trees, no writing in the dirt, no license plate, no whispers, like it had never happened, except something was different. That night, as I lay in bed, I had the overwhelming sensation of being watched. I turned toward the window, and there, just outside the glass, a figure stood. Not moving, not breathing, just watching. They are still here. Before foreign boots ever touched our soil, Long before the world knew the name of our land, a terror slithered through the mountains and villages. It was no ordinary creature. The Thlen, a monstrous, ancient snake, stretched longer than the rivers and cast a shadow so vast that entire villages lived in darkness. This beast wasn't just big, it was cunning. It whispered in the ears of the weak and fed on the blood of the innocent. It made deals with the desperate, granting wealth to those willing to pay the price: human sacrifice. The elders tell the story of how our ancestors defeated the Thlen. The village chieftain, seeing no other choice, ordered a deadly trick. They heated an iron rod until it burned like the sun, then disguised it as food. When the beast devoured it, the Thlen thrashed, its insides melting as the people seized their moment. With fire and steel, they hacked at its massive body, severing its head and putting an end to its reign of terror. Or so they thought. Out of fear that the Thlen could regenerate, the chieftain ordered its flesh to be cooked and eaten, ensuring no piece of it remained. Every villager ate except for one. A frail old woman hid a small portion of the creature's flesh in a glass jar, too afraid to consume it. She meant no harm. But weeks later, when she reached for the jar, she found something horrific. The meat had regrown. It pulsed alive, beating like a heart. And then one night, she heard it speak. "Let me in, and I will give you everything." The old woman did not resist. From that day on, her family became rich beyond imagination, but the price was blood. The Thlen was reborn, passed down through generations, hidden behind closed doors, lurking in the shadows of the wealthy. They say that those who keep the Thlen in their homes must feed it with human lives, or it will devour them instead. Even today, many believe the Thlen exists, disguised behind lavish mansions and untold riches. Some say they've heard its whispers. Others have seen the bodies left behind, drained of blood, hollow and lifeless. But the most terrifying stories come from those who have survived it. My great-grandmother was a simple woman, known for her sharp mind and quiet strength. In her village, there was another woman, one with unnatural wealth. She had once been poor, struggling like the rest, but overnight her fortunes changed. She often visited my great-grandmother, speaking in soft, snake-like whispers. "I feel bad for you," she'd say. "Let me tell you how to make real money." But my great-grandmother refused to listen. She knew. One day, this woman's family began construction on a house, a mansion that defied logic. Truck after truck arrived, pouring sand and rocks that never seemed to end. The ground swallowed it whole, as if something beneath was still hungry. And my great-grandmother knew this was no normal construction. Years later, in my cousin's neighborhood, a stranger appeared. No one knew where he had come from, yet his wealth seemed endless. He never worked, yet money flowed through his hands like water. He took a disturbing interest in children. At first, he gave them small gifts, 20 here, 50 there. Then, 500. My cousin's mother noticed. One night, she burned the money he had given them. As the flames curled around the bills, a thick black smoke rose, far too much for mere paper. That night, she warned them never take money from that man again. The next morning, the man was gone. When I was in 7th grade, my language teacher told us a story from her childhood. She and her sister were playing outside when an old woman approached, offering sweets. Without thinking, they accepted. That night, her dreams turned to nightmares. She couldn't sleep. The air felt heavy, and shadows in her room twisted unnaturally. Then came the voices, soft, whispering, slithering through the darkness. Days passed, and her hair began to fall out. She became sick, drained of energy. No doctor could explain it. Finally, her family brought her to a traditional healer who saw the truth. The Thlen had marked her. It was feeding on her fear, waiting until she was weak enough to take. Only through a powerful ritual was she freed. When my history teacher was a university student, she lived in a girls' hostel. One night, a girl in the next room, kind, friendly, known for braiding hair, fell mysteriously ill. She was rushed to the hospital. By morning, she was dead. Rumors spread. Some whispered that her hair had been offered as a sacrifice. My teacher never found proof, but after that night, she never spoke of the Thlen again. My grandmother once had a classmate, a girl unnaturally wealthy. One evening, she invited a friend for a sleepover. During dinner, the friend noticed something strange. The girl's family was watching her. One by one, they entered the room until every exit was blocked. She felt something was terribly wrong. Before bed, she admired the girl's beautiful golden locket and asked if she could try it on. The girl hesitated, then agreed. That night, she woke up to the feeling of someone in the room. She kept still, breathing quietly. Then, she felt a hand reach for her neck. But the hand paused. It lingered for a moment and then withdrew. The next morning, the girl was missing. She had a stomach ache, the mother said with a smile. The friend said nothing. She took off the locket, placed it on the table, and left without looking back. Later, she learned the truth. The family had made a mistake. The Thlen had demanded a sacrifice, and in the darkness, the killer had identified his victim by who wasn't wearing the locket. Some say the Thlen is just a legend, but stories of bodies drained of blood still surface. Investigations are silenced, the wealthy grow richer while the poor disappear. Even now, some whisper that the Thlen is still very much alive, hidden behind closed doors, waiting, watching, and still hungry. I live alone in a small apartment. I work from home, so most of my interactions with the outside world come through deliveries, groceries, takeout, packages. It's convenient, but lately it's started to feel like a trap. It started a few months ago. There was this one delivery driver who kept showing up. Same guy every time. Tall, thin, with hollow cheeks and eyes that lingered just a little too long. His voice was low, almost mechanical when he spoke. Delivery for Alex. Then he'd be gone. At first, I didn't think much of it, just another worker making his rounds. But then the comments started. Nice view of the street from your window. You must like jasmine. That's a lot of plants. Saw you working late last night? Tough job, huh? Each time his words seemed harmless, but they always felt off, like he knew things he shouldn't, like he had been watching. Then he started showing up at strange hours. One night, around 11:45 p.m., I heard a knock. I checked the security camera. It was him, standing there with a package. I hadn't ordered anything. I didn't answer. Another knock. Louder. Then, after a long pause, he grinned at the camera and walked away. I checked the hallway camera footage later. He didn't leave immediately. He stood by my door, just listening. I didn't sleep that night. A week later, he came again. This time, in the middle of the afternoon, I opened the door just enough to see him holding a small brown box. Delivery for you, he said. I checked the label, my name, my address, but I hadn't ordered anything. There's a mistake, I said. His expression didn't change. It's for you. I didn't want to take it, but something in his eyes made me too uneasy to argue. I just wanted him to leave. When I finally opened the box, my stomach twisted. Inside was nothing, just an empty, hollow box. That night, I started hearing noises, a faint scratching sound coming from the hallway, a shadow moving past my door. The next morning, when I checked the security footage, I saw him again. Not knocking, not delivering anything, just standing there, staring at my door. It escalated after that. One night, I was lying in bed when I heard a soft thump against my door. Not a knock, just a dull, deliberate sound. I checked the people. Nothing. I waited, barely breathing. Then, a piece of paper slid under my door. I hesitated before picking it up. The handwriting was uneven, childlike. I know you're in there. My heart pounded. I checked the security camera. He wasn't there, but I felt him, somewhere nearby. I called the police. They took my statement but said they couldn't do anything unless a crime had been committed. I installed extra locks, stopped taking deliveries to my home. I even started sleeping with a kitchen knife under my pillow. But I still felt him watching. Days passed, then weeks. The paranoia never left, but the deliveries stopped. No more knocking, no more strange packages. I started to believe maybe it was over, until one night when I came home late from visiting a friend. My apartment was different, nothing obvious, just wrong. The air was heavy, like someone had been inside. Then I saw it. My bedroom closet, the door was open, not all the way, just slightly. A gap wide enough for someone to watch me from the darkness inside. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't left it open. I never left it open. I stepped closer, my hands shaking. The room was dead silent. I reached for the closet handle, ready to slam it shut. Then I heard it. A shallow breath. Not mine. Coming from inside. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I froze. And then the door moved. Just a tiny inch, enough to see a pale, bony hand reach toward me. I ran. I didn't stop running until I was outside, gasping in the cold night air. The police searched my apartment. They didn't find anyone, but they found something else. The attic hatch inside my closet was unlocked. There were footprints in the dust. Someone had been living above me, watching me, waiting. They never found him, and even though I've moved to a new apartment, I still check the closet every night because deep down, I know the truth. Someday, he'll come back.